Chapter 89, Sefi. Funny the way things work out. When I first arrived at Shivers, I thought I made the biggest mistake of my life. I'd cry myself to sleep over what had been and what might have been, over Callum not wanting to live with me. He didn't even bother to say goodbye. It took a long time to stop crying and shaking. I didn't really believe I was drinking that much, and I certainly wasn't an alcoholic. But after the second day of feeling wretched and wrung out, I finally realized I was suffering from alcohol withdrawal pains. The school nurse reckoned I had the flu and was very sympathetic, but I knew differently. It took 3 weeks before I could call my body my own again, and even then I had to fight hard against the sudden cravings I got for a glass or two or three of wine or cider. So I buried myself in schoolwork and activities, the more physical the better, and it had slowly but surely begun to pay off. Shivers is definitely the best move I could have made, under the circumstances. It gave me a chance to remake myself, starting from scratch. I stopped hanging on to my childhood and started moving forward. I made new friends like Jacquelina and Robin, who saved my sanity because they liked me for who I was, not for what my father did or the money my mother had. The schoolwork was harder than it had been at Heathcroft because at Shivers no one pushed me, so I had to push myself. And I was terribly homesick for the first few months. I still get homesick if I allow myself to think about home for too long, but I don't allow this to happen anymore, much. I spent the whole Christmas holiday with Jacquelina and the Easter holiday skiing with Robin. It was great. I talked to Mother on the phone, of course, and she'd been up to see me a few times, but so far I've managed to stay away from home. And I joined a dissident group. We were crosses fighting for change in the system, but we had to be careful. We each made a pledge to do what we could, now and in the future, to further the cause of true integration between knots and crosses. I think we all felt the only way we'd achieve real progress was to wait for all the old dogs to die so that us new dogs could replace them in their thinking. Old dogs like my father, who couldn't see beyond the fact that knots used to be our slaves. As far as he was concerned, they'd never been much good for anything else. The dissident group was one thing that kept me focused when I was at Shivers. It was my reason for doing well, for succeeding. Our group kept me sane. It was a shame my sister didn't have something similar to believe in. I used to comfort myself with the belief that it was only certain individuals and their peculiar notions that spoiled things for the rest of us. But how many individuals does it take before it's not the individuals who are prejudiced, but society itself? And it wasn't even that most crosses were prejudiced against knots. I still didn't believe that. But everyone seemed to be too afraid to stand up in public and say, this is wrong. And by everyone, I meant me included. No one wanted to raise their head above the parapet. At least our group knew that the way things were wrong. At least we were trying to do something about it, albeit from behind the scenes. We moved quietly but irrevocably, like a relentless army of tiny termites eating away the rotten fabric of a house. And we would succeed. Each of us believed that, for the simple reason that we had to. A few months after joining our group, I thought long and hard about asking Minnie to join us, but in the end I decided against it. Minnie's only got 1 more year at school, and judging from the twice I'd spoken to her, she's finding being at home difficult to say the least. She's determined to go to a university as far away from our home as she can, but Mother cries or throws a tantrum or both if she's even so much as mentions it. I'm glad I got out before her. Selfish but true. According to Minnie, Mother's still drinking. I'm not. Even when some of the girls sneak the odd bottle or two into the dorm at night, I don't touch the stuff. I don't trust myself. It's very easy to hide away in a wine bottle, but very hard to come out again. Besides, that part of my past, too. I'm designing my future. A future without Callum. I've decided to be a lawyer, but I'm only going to work on those cases that I believe in. And I'm going to be another Kalani Adams. I'm going to stand up and speak out, and I'll be so famous and popular that no one will be able to touch me. Not the government, not the PEC, no one. It's great to finally have some direction in my life. I admit that I think about Callum often, but I've stopped brooding, and I've stopped yearning for the impossible. Maybe in another lifetime or in a parallel universe somewhere Callum and I would be together the way we should be, but not here, not now. And that's okay too. He's moved on with his life, and now so have I. I wonder if he even thinks of me. I doubt it, but just occasionally, when I'm doing my homework or washing my hair or cutting my toenails, I pause for a second and two and wonder. But only for a second. Or two.